So, Stephen D here on Pure 24/7 Radio, and I am joined by Dan Rous, one of the writers for Pure Media, the magazine. How are you doing, Dan?
I am doing well, Stephen. How's yourself?
I'm also doing well. And so, we're here to talk about your column in Pure Media, the magazine. But first, what is it that you get up to?
Yeah, so by day and mostly by evening as well, I am a freelance church and community developer. So that basically means I come alongside churches and community groups and just help them to develop in whatever way they may want to develop. So that might mean helping them to actually listen to the people around them, understand the local needs, or it could just be helping with some funding, business planning, anything from little to massive, basically. So very varied and takes me around lots of exciting places.
Excellent. And as part of that, off the back of that, really, you have your column in Pure Media, the magazine. What inspired you to write this?
So I've always kind of fancied doing some writing. I've been a very occasional blogger. There is a blog function on my website, which does say this is an irregular blog, not in its content, just in when I get around to actually writing stuff. So it's actually nice to have the discipline of doing something every month, and just to actually get some of my thoughts down on paper around perhaps the current situations maybe between churches and communities, and actually as I write a lot of, the column's called Church and Community, but I spend a lot of my time trying to rub out the word and between those two. That there's been over the years, and this is something for someone much more intelligent to kind of research, is that disconnect maybe that's come between the church and the community. And I find many people that are connected with church buildings, but not necessarily with what goes on inside those churches. So this was part of really expanding out from what I do through my work to perhaps encourage people, if nothing else. I love to encourage people, and just give them the opportunity to maybe think differently. And I often find with a lot of it, and people will see it if they read the column, that actually none of this is rocket science. It's not in-depth stuff, and you sometimes feel a bit of a fraud going around and saying, well, have you thought about asking people? That's not some major major thing. So this was really just putting down learning, some of the learning from some of the projects I've been working with, some of the insights I'm getting as I go out and see communities that really need the church and churches that are not necessarily engaging the communities, and just how to join those two together.
Yeah, I really like that. Rubbing out the and in church and community, bringing the two together. And I understand this is quite a passion for you.
It is, yeah. I mean, I've been working in sort of community development, social enterprisey stuff for, well, probably forever, but certainly since I've been in Scotland for the last sort of 23 years. And a lot of that's been within faith-based projects. And even if it's been a more mainstream community development project, there's always been a connection with the local church. We've gone to find out how the church is engaged or how it could be engaged. So it's become a real sort of passion, to the point that three and a half years ago, I kind of fell into freelance work to do this, kind of in faith that God was going to provide the opportunities for me to support people to be more, to do more, and to be the people they were called to be. So yeah, it's become a bit of a passion, which, as you'll know, being immersed in something that you're living and breathing all the time, it's difficult to step away from that because you're thinking about it all the time, every waking moment. You just so yeah, it's been interesting to try and get some disconnect from that. But yeah, it's right here in my heart to just see people being the people they were called to be, whether that's individually or as a group.
Excellent. So for the November edition of Pure Media the magazine, you have an article called "You Got to Have Faith: The Heart of Church Outreach." Do you want to tell us what inspired this particular article?
Yeah, and actually, this one's a funny one to pick up on, Steve. Well, I mean, funny in my head anyway. In that there's actually two versions of this article, and so I was up until recently, I was part of the team that ran the Scottish fundraising conference. It's a big two-day conference for 400 people in, and I was looking after the conference volunteers who helped the thing all seamlessly-ish run together. And this year I decided to offer to deliver a session as well, as if the 2 and a bit days were not stressful enough. I thought, let's go and deliver an hour-long session to a group. And we have like 60 different workshop sessions, and they're running sort of 7 at a time and different tracks. But it was also part of pushing out the boat of, well, let's just see how far we can push this faith thing and this faith-based funding as well. So my session at the Scottish Fundraising Conference was called "You Got to Have Faith." As readers may know, I'm, also involved with the radio station here. Music is quite key into my life as well. So there's always a play on a music, song title as well. So we went with the song "You Got to Have Faith." Actually, the more I played it, it's not on the pure playlist because of the content of some of the moral implications in some of the lyrics, which is fine. So I kind of delivered that in terms of faith-based funding, and I thought, hang on a sec, there's an element in this about how we do even community development, church engagement with communities, that sort of thing. And we hear right from what we read in Scripture, in Hebrews, talking about faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we don't see. And as I'm working, certainly here in Scotland where I'm based, there were a lot of changes happening with the churches. Certainly, within the Church of Scotland, there's lots of churches who are joining together to be larger parishes. There are church buildings being closed. There's a whole chance actually for a new way of thinking on some of these things. And there are a lot of people who hope for, when I speak to them, it's like, what do you want to see? It's like, well, we want to see more young people in, we want to see the families in, we hope to be able to do this. And we're not seeing that at the moment. And there's a lot of very demoralized people who are just going about what they do. And like, people are just not coming. And so part of that is encouraging them again. As I said earlier on, this is about encouraging people that sometimes you need to step out from where you are. You need to go out in faith to actually listen to what people are wanting, to go, as we heard in the Great Commission, which I think was in a previous article I spoke about, where, as far as I read the Great Commission, it very, very clearly says go. It doesn't say sit and wait and they will come eventually. It tells you to go before they will come. So we can only step out when we've got faith, and we're stepping out in the light of God to do His will. And the whole "you got to have faith" thing, apart from the musical pun, there are many occasions where I've seen churches step out into the communities to do what they think is needed, or they're going to go and take a certain program or activity to their community because they think that's what's needed, and they've not really they've not sat down and prayed about that first. And I find that's one of the biggest mistakes. One of the things that leads to demoralization and often failure of projects is outreach done without faith. It can easily morph into kind of activism and, we're going to bring our message, whether you like it or not, kind of thing. And you're busy and you look like you're doing stuff, but it's really shallow. So having faith then roots our activities in prayer, in scripture, ensuring that whatever we do flows from God's love rather than just our own panic of, people are not coming, they're threatening us with closure, we must go and do something. Well, the first thing we actually need to do is get on our knees and listen to what God is saying. So that's kind of where the heart of that article came from, I guess.
Oh, that's really good. Thank you. And so, if there was one thing you wanted people to take away from this article, what would that be? What would be the thing you want people to start thinking about?
I think my first message is well, the main thing is really don't rush into anything. When you see your numbers dwindling, and you might hear from regional office, if there is that kind of structure in your church, that there's a potential for closure, for change of some sort. It's very easy just to panic it. Our human instinct will kick in. Oh, I must do something. I must go and do something. I must go and do something. And I suppose I would say, I mean, this is kind of obvious in a way for the way we base everything, but look to Jesus. Before and after any big event, what did he do? He disappeared off. He went up a mountainside. He went to be on his own, to be with his father, to hear, to get, to debrief almost, and to get the instructions for the next bit. And if it was good enough for Jesus to be doing that, then I think that's kind of our platform for doing it as well. So don't panic into anything. Have that faith that if God is God is for you, if you believe that God has got a vision there, well, seek that vision, seek His guidance, seek His instruction, if you like. Go to him first before you start even putting pen to paper or speaking to anybody. And then when you've got that assurance that God is with you, we'd heard from the from Exodus, without a vision, the people perish. So get that vision, grasp it, and then step out in faith. And that really that's a perfect foundation for church outreach in any kind of form.
Yeah, that's really good. I really like that. Getting a debrief from God when anything comes up, get a debrief from God, and then you can then go from there. And faith being absolutely crucial to any project. So, thank you so much, Dan Rous, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.